Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
Remembrance ceremonies across the nation honor the more than 2,400 Americans who died at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. Veterans who survived the attack want future generations to know about its impact.
A state line veteran remembers the moment he answered the call to fight for his country. The Pearl Harbor survivor paints a picture of the day that launched the United States into World War II.
A dispute between neighbors escalates when gas is added to the flames. City leaders are called in following a weekend garage fire. Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson. Today marks 80 years since the deadly attack on Pearl Harbor,
when Japanese forces bombed the Hawaiian naval base, claiming more than 2,400 American lives and thrusting the U.S. into World War II. Veterans, family, and friends gathered in Hawaii to remember the American troops killed in the attack. The 80th commemoration ceremony was titled Valor, Sacrifice, and Peace. It featured a wreath presentation as well as a flyover accompanied by the Pacific Fleet Band. With each passing year, veterans say it's crucial not just to remember the attack, but to teach younger generations about it so history doesn't repeat itself.
A lot of them don't know what led up to World War II and why we were in the war.
President Joe Biden and the First Lady marked the day with a visit to the World War II memorial at the nation's capital.
A few flakes of snow couldn't stop people from remembering the attack here in the state line. In Roscoe, the veterans of foreign wars gathered at Riverside Park for Pearl Harbor Day. The groups held a ceremony to honor the lives lost that day for more than 3 decades. Vets completed a rifle volley, followed by a rendition of taps. Then service members sent a wreath out on the Rock River.
A loss of so many lives, equipment, and everything, and it motivated the United States to ramp up its production of war machinery and personnel and to engage in the fight not only in the Pacific but in Europe.
A Beloit World War II veteran remembers the deadly attack all too well.
Stan VANHOOSE survived the bombings in Hawaii. We introduced you to Stan on Pearl Harbor Day in 2018. Nikel Delgado caught up with him again today, and Nikel, he vividly recalls the tragedy 80 years later.
That's right, Eric and Mimi. Stan is now 101 years old. He tells me that he was a navigator in the Army, in the Navy, during the attack on Pearl Harbor, and will never forget that day.
What was on my mind?
Yeah.
Win and fight. Win and fight.
Stan VANHOOSE was just 18 when he joined the Navy, right after graduating high school. The next year, he was on board a ship at Pearl Harbor when Japan launched its surprise attack. That was December 7th, 1941.
I was the only man that would step up and say, I'll take it. And I grew up in Kentucky. And my father always told me, don't walk away from a fight.
Stan now lives at Beloit Senior Living Center. He tells me that his father taught him to never back down from a fight, and he wasn't going to back down from fighting for his country. Stan recalls seeing his friend after the bombing.
I was getting ready to re-enlist for the fourth time. And I saw a guy with Navy clothes on. I knew it was
He was dead? After Pearl Harbor, Stan went to fight in World War II for 46 months. He says he is blessed and thankful to have lived such a life, traveling the world, and most importantly, fighting for his country.
war come up, and when I come out, I said, forget it. I'm through fighting. I'm going to fight, and I'm going to do it, and I'll defend the defense, and it will be free.
Stan tells me he hopes the next generation will continue to remember and honor the sacrifices that were made at Pearl Harbor. Eric?
Thanks, Nikel. Stan started his day at the Beloit Culvers. Last month, the fast food chain donated 11% of its entire Veterans Day's sales to support local VETSROLL trips to the U.S. Capitol. Today, Culver's announced it raised more than $41,000 for that program. These are pictures from the check presentation. In addition to the percentage of total sales, Culver's put out VETSROLL donation boxes and offered a special Patriot Sunday to bring in extra change.
Investigators released the name of a Beloit man killed in a weekend business fire. He's 69-year-old Sherman Van Antwerp. Early Sunday morning, several area fire departments were called to the Chrome Room on East Grand Avenue. That's where they found Van Antwerp's body. No one else was hurt. The Wisconsin State Fire Marshal is investigating the cause of the fire.
Neighbors of one Loves Park home are fed up.
They claim the man who lives next door started a fire in his backyard that got out of control and burned their garage. Rachel Perry talked to the neighbors today, and Rachel, she says something needs to be done.
That's right, Mimi and Eric. The neighbor says the problem started more than a year ago. She's complained to the city before the fire on Saturday and says this is the final straw.
We could see the whole back garage and our fence just completely ablazed. So I immediately jump out and I'm frantic, and my husband jumps out and grabs the hose and he starts spraying and screaming for the neighbor. At night we did not sleep. We thought for sure that the fire was going to catch back on. It was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare.
It's a nightmare Katie Arensdorf saw coming. She claims her next door neighbor who rents this house on Boulder Street in Loves Park started an out-of-control fire in his yard Saturday, which spread to his garage and then hers. She says the stuff in his yard continues to pile up.
We have 4 young kids. Our oldest is going to be 9 soon, so 4 under 9. And this is their home. This is their safe space. They want to be able to play and ride bikes and ride scooters and do chalk, but we can't when we have a mess, an unnecessary mess next door. It's a safety hazard.
Katie is pleading to the city to do something. The attorney representing Loves Park says they're trying.
An order was entered directing the owners to clean up the property, and a fine was imposed at that time. On a reinspection in August, we found that the property still had not been cleaned up.
The city is suing the property owners. Attorney Gregory Cox says this has been a nearly 10-month process.
This lawsuit is for correction of some code violations that are present on the property, mostly some debris that's been left out in the yard and some other violations of the Loves Park City Code.
But Katie wants something done now.
I would like to see the mess cleaned up as soon as possible, ASAP, and then he needs to be removed and not to be even allowed near the premises.
Police issued the renter 2 citations for the fire. I confronted the man living at the property. I'll have his response coming up at 6. Eric?
All right, thanks, Rachel. We'll see you then. Taking a stroll through the Rockford Art Museum or attending a Rockford Symphony Orchestra concert might have a deeper impact than you think. The Rockford Area Arts Council recently teamed up with the city and Winnebago County to develop an arts and culture economic impact study. Organizers hope it puts numbers on the positive effect the arts industry has locally and shows the need for those programs in our community.
Knowing this type of data and the depth of the impact of the arts in our community, we can then go to our legislators for support and say this is the economic impact we're having in our region. We could go to our local representatives and say we could use your help on this project or this initiative.
The Arts Council just received a $150,000 National Endowment for the Arts grant, and nominations are now open for the 2022 Rockford Area Arts Awards. Learn more about that using the My State Line mobile app. As the President's Build Back Better Act continues to move through Congress, lawmakers are still debating what should be in the final bill.
From child care to COVID, many issues are still on the table. Our Washington correspondent Jessie Tenor explains as she keeps you connected to the nation's capital.
Good evening. Democrats and Republicans used their first full day back on Capitol Hill this week to debate some of the biggest provisions in the bill.
This is a blue state billionaire bailout.
Republican senators like Iowa's Chuck Grassley and Arkansas's John Bozeman are mounting their defense against the president's social safety net and climate plan ahead of an expected Senate vote.
It's bad policy with bad pay for us.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer calls the legislation's investment in child care historic.
By expanding child care, we're going to help parents get back to work and expand the labor force in a very significant way.
But Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell argues the plan would drive up prices for many parents, since he says it prioritizes daycare centers over in-home options.
The Democrats' toddler takeover wouldn't give any of them a dime.
Democrats are also pushing for changes to the bill. California Congressman Lou Correa wants to include a pathway to citizenship for millions of undocumented immigrants.
We're all immigrants to this great nation, and America stands for justice.
While Republicans like Indiana Senator Mike Braun are fighting to strip support for vaccine mandates.
Maybe finally they can listen to the people in their district and reverse a bad idea.
And Democrats are still focused on voting on the Build Back Better Act before Christmas. In Washington, I'm Jessie Chenor.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolfe.
Well, we had a pretty good dusting of snow move through our area earlier today with this weak low pressure system. It's brought us a few snow showers, and a little bit wider look, we have some more decent snow showers further north of us. So you snow lovers got lucky up that direction. We did see temperatures very cold as well. We woke up to temperatures in the single digits. This is the coldest temperatures we have seen so far this season. Those temperatures are a little bit warmer now. We're sitting in the 20s in our viewing area, 21 here in Rockford for our current, and a couple temperatures are sitting in the teens as well. But we did warm up just a little bit from this morning, but not a whole lot, as we've only seen temperatures in the 20s throughout this day. This is our Mercy Hill SkyTrack cam. Earlier today, we could see just a little bit of that snow covering there on that bridge in downtown Rockford. And if we check on our Weather Watchers update, we'll see a couple of their snow reports as well. Bob here reported just under a tenth of an inch of snow there. 18-degree temperature and dew point very dry as well. We had 19 degrees reported there by Ben near Beloit, and so very cold and dry again. And Sandy here reported a temperature of 21 degrees and humidity of 50%, which still would put the dew point very cold as well. So very dry conditions along with the cold. Lots of cloud cover continuing through the tonight as well. A few of those snow showers sticking north of us primarily. We'll get a little bit of clearing as we head into the day tomorrow. A lot more sunshine as well. Temperatures will warm a little bit as a result of that, but not a whole lot, as we'll only see temperatures reaching into the 30s. A little bit of cloud cover returns there as we head into the day on Thursday. And then we have this burst of snow showers mixed in with some rain there in the morning. And that'll transition to rain by afternoon. So kind of a slushy situation there early in the morning on Thursday before those clouds and that system rolls out headed into the weekend. For futurecast temperatures, we're going to drop into the 20s again tonight. Some teens for our northern counties there in our viewing area. Tomorrow, we don't get a whole lot warmer. We do see a little bit warmer conditions than today, about 10 degrees warmer than what our high temperature was here in Rockford at least. Temperatures do drop back off there Wednesday night. And then look at that. We had quite a bit of warmth begin to show up during the daytime there on Thursday. So a little bit more warmth headed into the weekend. And if we look at the jet stream, we can kind of see why. This is Friday at 5 o'clock. This is a nice meridional pattern beginning to develop. That's a trough there, and behind that will develop a ridge. That'll lead to much warmer temperatures. This is the Climate Prediction Center 6-day outlook. This is a very high confidence forecast that we will see above average temperatures for most of the country in the next 6 to 10 days, and similarly for the next 8 to 14 days, a very large swath of their high confidence of above average temperatures. Now, our normal average should be in the upper 30s. So far, we've been anywhere between 30 and 50. On the way, though, 10 to 15, maybe even 20 degrees above average. Tonight, temperatures drop into the 20s again. A couple of flurries kind of hanging around as we head into the overnight hours. Through the day tomorrow, a little bit warmer. We get temperatures near 30s, mid-30s, slightly warmer. And over the next 7 days, that warming trend really continues. Rain-snow mix there Thursday. Again, some snow showers into the weekend. But look at that 50 there at the end, guys. We see temperatures definitely warming up as we head into next week.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with Sports Director Scott Leber.
This year's been a struggle for James Robinson with the Jacksonville Jaguars, not just because the Jaguars are really, really bad, and not just because Robinson has dealt with heel and knee injuries. No, his problem started the day the Jaguars hired Urban Meyer as their head coach. For some reason, Meyer has never been impressed with Robinson. Meyer immediately drafted Clemson running back Travis Etienne and then signed free agent running back Carlos Hyde. And even when Robinson stacked some strong games together in weeks 3, 4, and 5 of this season, that still wasn't enough to impress Meyer. The last 2 weeks, Robinson has had his first 2 fumbles of his career. You can't fault him for this one last Sunday when Aaron Donald just ripped the ball out of Robinson's grasp. Show me a running back that can hang on to the football after this. In both games, Robinson was relegated to the bench for several series after those fumbles. Meyer said after last week's game, Robinson's carries were limited the rest of the game because Robinson is still battling injuries. But then the Jaguars put Robinson back in the game in the second half when they were getting blown out by the Rams and the game was over. That makes no sense. Urban Meyer has always struck me as a strange guy, extremely loyal to a fault to some people who probably don't deserve it, and not willing to give other guys a chance who do deserve it. The best thing that could happen to Robinson is for Urban Meyer to decide the NFL is not for him and Meyer resigns after this season. But that's probably not going to happen. Too bad Robinson doesn't play for Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Belichick admires hard-running running backs. And I love what the Patriots did last night in Buffalo. In strong wind and adverse conditions, they lined up and literally ran the ball all night. They passed it only 3 times, and it worked. The Patriots rushed for 222 yards, and they won the game 14-10. A lot of people might not like Belichick because of his guffy personality or simply lack of personality, and the fact that he's won so many Super Bowls. But the man can coach. He's won with revolving rosters year after year, with the exception of last season. And now he's showing he can win again, even without Tom Brady, and with a rookie QB leading the offense. And while I'm on the topic of great coaches, NIU's Thomas Hammock is one of the finalists for the National Coach of the Year Award, better known as the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year Award in college football. He is one of 13 finalists. Luke Fickell of Cincinnati will probably get the award. Fickell is my pick. Jim Harbaugh at Michigan has a lot of momentum right now, but Hammock certainly belongs in this conversation after taking the Huskies from 0-6 last year to 9-4 in a MAC championship this year.
Thanks for staying with us this evening. We had a nice dusting of snow earlier, but right now, not really anything showing up on our First Warn interactive radar brought to us by Rockford Auto Glass. Beyond that, though, we will see some rain, snow into the weekend, headed into the weekend as well. Some chances for some rain and snow there, and rain on Friday, some more snow on Saturday. But overall, temperatures warming up. We see that 50 there at the end. Beyond that, we could see temperatures 15 to 20 degrees above average headed into next week.
Thanks, Jordan.
And thank you for spending some time with us. Stay safe.